Because a lot of the organizations will come to us when they're about to, our system's going out of support next week.
I've heard that a few times.
So you're like, oh, right, okay, in which case, then you have to factor that into your options appraisal. And for that, we collect business requirements, like critical ones, and then align those with the suitable technology that's out there. And requirements also will include budget. Okay. So it's not just, all right, I want to be able to raise invoices that need to be matched to purchase orders automatically. Yeah. That level, yes, of course. Doing a lot of transactional, repetitive work can be very mundane. Yeah. Some people like it, others don't. Yeah. So it's trying to figure out, okay, so the technology can take care of the repetitive or, automate that, take care of that. So you're releasing the individuals time to do more value-added, challenging work if they want to, progress their career, maybe do some research, whatever it is that they want to do. So you're automatically motivating the individual to enjoy the workplace. It becomes more of a proactive environment that they're coming into.
Welcome to Driving Productivity with Hadi Chana. I'm here with a wonderful Medhya today. We're going to talk about productivity, in particular around operations and the operating model. We're going to focus on people, process and technology. But before we get into that, Med, let's talk about credentials.
Yeah, of course. So do you want me to go back to my university days? So I went to Bristol, did engineering maths. Yeah, wow. Never did engineering as a job though. Then moved on to do chartered accountancy, specifically SIPFA, it's public sector focused. Okay. Did that in Bristol as well, Grant Thornton. Right. And then I've worked with niche consultancies in London, Hydra and Tribal specifically, great firms, and then KPMG. So that was my previous experience, all in business transformation. A lot of focus on finance transformation. Yeah, yeah. And then recently I'm a director in More Insight. Okay.
So operations is the heart of the organisation. Yeah. Within the UK now, we've got this productivity puzzle. It's kind of becoming a bit of a crisis. My focus is SMEs in particular, and the reason for this podcast is to help SMEs understand some of the tools and techniques that are used by big corporates, and that sort of experience you've got is really important. Before we dive into the detail though, but tell me about you. So what's your thing? What do you do outside of work?
Outside work, I'm really passionate about my fitness. Recently, I've moved from CrossFit into Olympic weightlifting.
Crikey, that's brave.
So snatch, clean and jerks. Yeah. They're my thing right now.
Twisty wrists, because I don't think I have the mobility to do.
Yeah, so front, the front rack. Yeah. Front squats. Yeah, absolutely love it.
Front squats are really painful. I congratulate you on actually doing those.
Thank you. I do like the back squat as well, but when you're lifting, Olympic lifting, your front squat is the focus, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that sounds. And how often do you train?
So Monday to Friday, and then weekends are off. Wow. And so. It depends on the work, of course. Yeah, sometimes
that's a heck of a regime and real commitment.
But it's part of life now, so I don't think about, got to go to the gym. It's more, it's just like part of the blood.
Brilliant. Yeah. I love it. Let's talk about operations. Let's talk about how organisations run operations, but in particular, based on your experience, let's talk about people, process and technology. So over to you. What are the things that you want to unpack on this podcast? And this is all aimed at SMEs. So 5.5 million SMEs, employing about 16 million people. As I said earlier, we've got a bit of a productivity puzzle. And my passion is SMEs. And I think if we can turn the dial on productivity just a couple of percent, that's going to yield billions in value for UK PLC, for local communities in terms of wealth creation.
Yeah.
So anything we can share today that'll help small businesses and entrepreneurs and SMEs turn the dial would be really welcome.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and share your experience.
So I think what businesses really struggle with at the moment is focusing on the operations as a whole. So I find a lot of businesses, when they're trying to improve productivity, go straight into technology, right? Yeah. Go outside, get something new. What we've got isn't working. It may be true.
Yeah.
But it's quite likely that they haven't looked at the bigger picture, the operations as a whole.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a really important point that you're making there, and I'd like to get into that in a bit more detail. Now, I spoke to a prospective client. Actually, we didn't go ahead just a couple of months ago, and that was about implementation. And the words that we used were, well, people are complaining about it. There's too many clicks and you know, there's problems, but it's the people. And we need somebody just
people
to make
are the problem.
Yeah, we need somebody to help people adopt to the change.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, that was quite concerning, because to me, it sounded like they didn't get the requirements right.
Yeah.
So let's unpack that in a bit more detail. So, you talk about jumping to technology. Why wouldn't we do that?
I mean, it's not an incorrect thing to do. It's just more, it needs to be a planned, strategic thing to do. So if you're struggling with productivity, look at your operations, look at your back office, finance, HR, payroll, IT functions. And when was the last time you reviewed your processes? Are the people capable of delivering what's required in this day and age? Yeah. Not 5 years ago or even a year ago. Yeah. You know, everything needs to be current. And if you think, the people are great. They're all aligned to the process. Yeah. Process is streamlined. There's no waste. It's absolutely spot on. Technology, why wouldn't you look into technology as well? But technology isn't the answer for everything. You know, that's what I...
Yeah. And I find that sometimes the process is jammed into the technology rather than the technology helping you run the process more effectively.
Yeah, spot on,
So, you know, unnecessary clicks. In fact, many years ago, I worked with two clients, and it was around regulation. So big regulation was coming in, and they had to change their technology to meet with that. So let's call it structured interviews. Well, one company could do a structured interview in about an hour and a half, and the other one was 3 hours. That's sort of, you know, how you understand and apply the requirements of regulation, of the process, etc. So I think it's, you know, having deep understanding of the process and the process purpose really helps articulate your requirements, doesn't it?
I agree. So the business requirements are critical. Part of More Insight, we do a lot of systems agnostic market analysis and options appraisals. And for that, we collect business requirements, the critical ones, and then align those with the suitable technology that's out there. And requirements also will include budget. So it's not just, all right, I want to be able to raise invoices that need to be matched to purchase orders automatically. That level, yes, of course. But then what's your budget? What's your timeline? Because a lot of the organizations will come to us when they're about to, you know, system's going out of support next week.
I've heard that a few times.
So you're like, all right, okay, in which case, you know, then you have to factor that into your options appraisal. Yeah.
People sort of panic and say, you know, the system's going out of support. What's the solution? What do you do?
Well, we do look at the with the contract. What are the terms? Are they going to extend for a year? Is it a rolling contract? So those kind of things to allow for extra time to get suitable technology, and then look into what are the pain points? What are the issues the teams are facing? And these are across functions. I mean, sometimes we focus on just the finance or just HR. Yes. But there are these interfaces and handoffs, and you need to look at all of them and, you know, for example, looking at, I'm going into too much detail, but looking at master data, you know, how that, sort of transfers across all the processes and systems. And so all of that needs to be considered. So we look into all of the critical requirements and then look at the functionality available with the systems and do a match.
Yeah.
And it's quite a detailed process that we follow. It's quite methodical.
Yeah. And is there a methodology around that, or is it just your own sort of way of doing things?
No, it's a methodology we've developed over the years. So, and we refine it even to this day. It's like the continuous improvement thing. We talk to our clients, but we do it ourselves, where we'll continue to tweak the way we're approaching things. So,
so when you're looking at technology and you're assessing what you need, you start with what are we trying to achieve? And then look at all the interfaces, look at all the connections or tentacles, as I call them, that would influence that process. And that's when you're able to articulate the needs of, or the requirements of the system. Is that right? Yeah.
And we also consider the non-functional requirements. So the user interaction, how easy is it? You know, you were talking about the clicks. So is it intuitive enough? Is it modern? A lot of the recent requirements require them to be cloud-based. So, you know, the security data needs to be in the UK, for example, not abroad, that kind of thing. So we're all factoring all of those things in. Is it a global organization? Well, I don't know, with SMEs, are they global?
Well, they can be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can have, supply outside of the UK. Most SMEs are probably a little bit smaller, but, you know, you've still got to take into account any kind of regulatory requirements in the countries that you're operating in.
No, that's fair enough. So then the system requirements would change depending on whether the currencies, you know, multi-currency, for example. And if they're UK based, then it makes it simpler, the requirements. And also then the affordability is there.
And then as you sort of do this sort of system creation, is there any testing that sort of, scripts that you use so that you use scenarios to see if the system will work?
Exactly. So it depends on whether you're doing the agile or the waterfall method for the implementation. So you'll have like other user stories. Or you do the scripts and then you do the tests. You have your defects. So we do follow all of that process when we come to the implementation. And then check the readiness. All of that before go live.
So just back on a couple of words. If you don't understand agile or waterfall, look it up. There's plenty of stuff on the internet. I found that even sort of agile projects sometimes fall into waterfall as well. But it's what your organisation needs and what fits and what you can do. The main thing is getting stuff done, isn't it? Whatever methodology you use.
The theory's out there as a guide, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of the times we respond to bids. For public sector organisations, I know not probably relevant for the SMEs as much, but they very much at times ask about theory. What change theory do you follow? What methodology and project management do you follow? And you're thinking, well, we use it as a guide. If we follow something theoretically, then it's probably going to fall down somewhere.
Well, I mean, I've worked in organisations where, they follow the methodology to the letter, and that can slow you down.
It does, doesn't it? It doesn't take into the culture into account, where the people come in.
Absolutely.
How do they learn? What do they respond to? And so the change needs to be embedded, doesn't it? And if you're going to just throw theory at them.
Exactly. So talk to me about the people. We talked a little bit about technology requirements. We've mentioned process, but we'll unpack that a little bit later on as well in more detail. Tell me about the people. Why are the people important? Some people that are listening would say, well, they just received the technology and they used it. We trained them and that's that. But I think it's a bit more important than just that, isn't it?
No, it is. So it's trying to understand the motivation of the individuals. Doing a lot of transactional, repetitive work can be very mundane. Some people like it. Others don't.
Yeah.
So it's trying to figure out, okay, so the technology can take care of the repetitive, or, you know, automate that, take care of that. So you're releasing the individual's time to do more value-added, challenging work if they want to, progress their career, you know, maybe do some research, whatever it is that they want to do. So you're automatically motivating the individual to enjoy the workplace. It becomes more of a proactive environment that they're coming into. Productivity is going to rise.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if they're not doing long hours, because all of this broken technology and processes, I know we're going to cover it process later, but those have been resolved, then they have more time to just, you know, do the decision making and do the challenge.
Yes. That's interesting you say that. I think that just on that, I'm just going to slow down because it's kind of tight.
It's very tight, but it's beautiful, isn't it, though?
That, yeah. And it's not my car.
All right.
There's somebody in the back that's hiding that owns this vehicle. So on productivity and process, just tying technology and process together.
Yeah.
Do you often find that because the technology hasn't been designed effectively, that people actually have manual workarounds, so it becomes a semi-paper based? I mean, I've seen that in financial services, a classic example of a internet account where the customer then has to print off the document and sign it.
Yeah.
Which is a classic,
lethal, isn't it?
Classic non-digital process, but dubbed as digital.
Oh God, yeah. The amount of times we come across functionality that's not being used, but the technology is being blamed.
Yeah.
The system's not correct for the organization. It's either too simple or too complex.
Yeah.
Manual workarounds. That is one massive thing that brings down productivity. The repetitive reviews, everyone has to review, reformatting.
Yes.
That's where the master data came in.
And many opportunities for error, many opportunities for error. As soon as you introduce paper and boxes and human checking, you're going to have errors, which means it's going to be rework, which means it's going to be less productive.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why when people just put in any technology because it's cheap, or whatever they feel, the reason may be, they've got it. That's why the whole people, process and technology, it's got it all fit together. And the people aren't to blame if you're not going to train them and align everything to deliver what's required at the end of the day.
Yep, there's a very famous phrase that suggests that a good person cannot beat a bad system. When I say system, I don't mean technology. I mean the way things fit together. So the whole system. Yeah. It's really important to make sure that we, number one, understand the purpose of the process. Number two, understand how we're going to meet the customer demand. Yeah. Then design the process to meet the customer demand. Yeah. And once you've designed it, having spoken to the front line, is look at how you're going to automate it. I think that, in my experience, often automation has been flung in and seen as, and there's a lot of talk even now, isn't it, about AI being the answer to all our productivity woes. But I think it's not right.
No. One thing isn't going to, and the thing with the people aspect and the process, a lot of the times, businesses feel, it's a process, we can sort that out. Yeah. They'll make redundancies, for example, and then the same smaller teams are delivering the same old process, using the same technology. So you can't, it should be like a seesaw effect. You know, where you change one thing, then the other area needs to be balanced. Otherwise, the equilibrium's gone. That's
a great example. And you're quite right that, again, from my experience in that respect, what I've seen, particularly for SMEs now, Med, is that as it's for an SME, they want to grow the business. Yeah. As the business grows, sometimes the processes don't grow.
No.
And therefore, either they chuck bodies at the problem, so we recruit more people to do more bad work, or we bring in an outside firm. And outside firms can add a lot of value to an organisation.
Yes. Yeah.
But you have to be very clear and concise on what you need.
Yeah.
And we throw technology at the problem, but actually what we do is we produce more shit more frequently. And that's something that we need to manage and be aware of, particularly as SMEs, because SMEs don't have oodles of money. Now, corporates, and I know of a corporate where they'd invested millions into a technology. And by the time they delivered it, it was out of date.
Oh, wow.
So the functionality wasn't good.
Yep.
It was out of date, and they spent probably 75 to 80% more than what they budgeted.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so...
One to watch out for.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. So when people, people talk about benefits from a business case, but then they don't monitor those benefits. So if the project then starts overrunning, costs go up, then your benefits are reducing as you speak. So it's quite important that everything is kept up to date and is dynamic. And that is the same with the people, process and technology. So annually, you should be looking at all of these things. Operations should be reviewed annually. And because people understand the English words, process, I understand what that means. And they just think they can do it in-house. And the objectivity is missing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because whatever your blind spots are, they are going to remain. When you mentioned the external consultants coming in, that's really important. But it's got to be very specific, because as you're saying, SMEs don't have that budget.
Yeah.
They need to be focused in what they're bringing in the consultant for.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's plenty of information out there now. I think that the danger with things like ChatGPT and the internet is that it's two-dimensional. It's not 3D. It's the map and not the territory. Whereas if somebody like yourself that's done this for many, many years, you'll see, it's that tacit knowledge. You'll see little things that perhaps, somebody who's in the business won't see. Yeah. And they carry that bias. But what you're saying is step back, think things through, be objective, think about what you're trying to achieve here, and that will help you understand.
Yeah, exactly. Because people just throw automation, as you said, at things, and it might be the correct answer, but it's got to be part of the whole answer, not just bits of it. Yeah. There's plenty of examples of technology not providing the right answer. And there's plenty of examples of where, organisations where they've taken the time. And that's important as well, isn't it? Don't rush things through. Take your time. Do this properly. Understand your requirements fully. Also try and protect yourself against future change as well. So have flexibility. So the scalability of the technology is important, as well as the process and the people. So the ability to upskill, learn on the job, that needs to be factored in. If they're doing 10-hour days, 12-hour days every week, when are they going to do the upskilling or learning new things and progressing, for example? Where is that productivity going to come from? And more isn't always better, is it? So and then check in on people, make sure that things are embedded and there's full adoption. The support needs to be there. That's phasing out the old process. Again, I've been in organisations where they've dual run processes even when it should have changed. Oh God, Have you seen that? Yeah. Oh, that's and also when that's where the non-standardisation also comes in, where one department, we do it this way. Another does it another way, and then you're losing any kind of efficiencies that you could have got. So the productivity is suffering. So you imagine, a larger business with 15 depots in the UK or 18 depots in the UK. There might be 18 ways of doing things. There may be more. If there's 10 people in each depot, there could be 40, 50 different ways of doing things because people are doing it differently. Exactly. And then there's also the business continuity risk. If that person leaves, with all the knowledge. They've been there for 30 years, they've moved, retired, and the new person comes in. Then this new person is kind of recreating something or guessing what needs to be done. So the processes need to be documented and need to be updated every year, as a minimum.
Yes. I often ask that question when I meet with organisations. I ask about their SOPs, and they always say, "Oh yeah, we've got SOPs."
Yeah.
And we follow them. Well, then I say, well, when were the last updated? Well, 2 years ago. And then let's see what you do. And actually what's done isn't the same as what's in the SOPs. So,
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, process confirmations is a really important thing to do.
Yeah.
And whether you do that annually or quarterly, I worked in a North American bank a long time ago. I used to have to do a month-end certification of my processes. Just to confirm that they were, as they should be.
Interesting.
Great rigor.
Yeah.
And an important thing to do. If you're an SME, sometimes, you're doing everything, and that rigor does sort of seem to relax a little, which is a hard thing to do. But, this kind of approach is really important in terms of rigor, of building the right requirements, engaging your people front end, ensuring they've got the system they need, so therefore adoption's strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's I think when people do the implementations, they forget about the business change element, which is the people. So embedding the changes in a slow and gradual way, because people they get overwhelmed with new information.
Yeah.
Some people are resistant to change. So just looking into how best to implement new technology, if that is the correct answer, then do it in a methodical way. But people tend to just do it very quickly because, we've got to get this done in 6 months. Don't care about the people. Have to just get on with it. They'll have to just deal with it.
Yeah.
And productivity isn't going to just happen.
No, absolutely. So is there anything else you want to cover on operations?
I think we've covered quite a lot on there.
Okay. Yeah. So somebody's listening, they're going, I like what Med's saying. She's making a lot of sense. Great conversation. What are the 2 or 3 things that person or that business can start doing tomorrow that will make a difference on their productivity based on what we just talked about? Right.
Okay. The first thing would be to sit down and review each of your back office functions, your operations, that just see how are the processes working, your people and technology. Just doing a high level overview.
Yeah.
Where are the key points of, I wouldn't say points of failure, but, issues. Where are the delays that you come across?
Yeah, pain points.
Pain points, So just do a high level review of that, the pain points, and then start going into the detail. Prioritize those areas based on how it's impacting your end result, your product, and then, your decision making as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then based on prioritization, then start investigating what is the reason, and then come up with a plan.
Yeah.
Which is then, evidence-based, because you've got all the granular detail, and then you go up to the strategic level of, what we need to do is, reorganize, re-implement, or new implementation, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. What else?
Look into the training of the people.
Yeah.
So do a skills audit. Do a current state.
Yeah.
And then wherever your target state needs to be, and then do a gap analysis of the skills. And then that gap should inform the training needs of the people.
Okay.
And then individualize it so it's tailored. Someone might need to be, advanced in Excel, someone, business report writing, whatever it is. So do the people training element.
Okay. So, take a structured approach to understanding your needs. Do your gap analysis be evidence-based in building a plan? Think about the people, think about the training and training requirements. And then finally,
when you do come up with the technology or whatever the technology you're implementing, then have those user guides that are accessible refresher courses, whatever they are, so that people don't have the excuse of not using the full functionality, creating manual workarounds. It gets created very quickly. So the third thing would be keep up to date with it's kind of part of the training, I suppose, but this is specific to the technology user guides.
Okay, so make sure you're evidence-based, train your people, keep on top of your user guides, and have rigour.
Basically, rigour.
Brilliant. That was really interesting, Med. I really enjoyed that conversation. Well. Good to see you. Keep doing the Olympic weightlifting.
Thank you very much.
And how can people reach you?
So they can contact me on medhya.sahay@moreinsight.com.
Okay.
Or my mobile number.
Yeah, and you're on LinkedIn?
And I'm on LinkedIn, definitely. Brilliant. And I'm really happy to just have a chat, just a free consultation, whatever is required to help people. So
Brilliant.
Don't feel obligated.
So until next time, dial up that productivity and keep tuning into the channel. Share, like, and comment. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.